One of the biggest lies in hair is that flat ironing has to do damage, and it is just not true. Heat styling is my specialty. I built my salon on it. You just have to know the right way to do it, and it's actually really easy. Today, I'm gonna show you the right way to do it and how to make it last for days. Because the longer it lasts, the less time and the less effort you have to put into it. This is one of my favorite subjects. Let's jump right in. If you don't know me, my name is Chris. I own a hair salon called Live Love Locks, where we try out new products and bring the best ones to you. I make these videos because way too many people have unhealthy hair, and I don't want you to be one of them. So there's one thing you need to know before you even pick up that flat iron, and that is that everything in hair, the entire world of hair, always starts with a healthy hair routine. Trying to skip right past the healthy hair routine and going straight to styling means everything is gonna come crashing down on you. In hair, everything depends on having a strong, healthy base of hair. Years ago, when one of my clients first came in, she would flat iron her hair all the time. She complained that her hair would never grow past here. The flat ironing was damaging her hair, so it would break off before it got any longer. We got her on a healthy hair routine where she only had to add 2 products, and now she has shampoo commercial hair that's down to here. The most important part is she never had to stop flat ironing her hair. She never had to sacrifice. We just showed her the healthy way to do it, and that's what I'm gonna show you in this video. People who say heat styling is the devil and that it always does a ton of damage are just wrong. They don't understand it. So yes, if you aren't taking care of your hair and you're putting heat on it all the time, recklessly, without proper care, it will do damage. Damage will build up. But if you're doing it with a healthy hair routine, you can heat style and improve the health of your hair at the same time. So with that being said, I'll leave a link to my 2-product healthy hair routine in the description. I'll remind you again later, but let's get into it. Hair is all about knowledge. If you know the secrets, it gets really, really easy. You don't need to grind for hours. You don't need to get 10,000 hours of practice. So let me just give you the secrets when it comes to flat ironing. The first secret has to do with the size of section that you take. If you take a section that's too big, you're gonna end up doing a ton of damage to your hair. Let me give you a quick example. If you're making hamburgers and you make them way too thick, it's gonna be impossible to cook them without burning them. So you throw it on the grill and the outside of the burger cooks just normally. But the thing is, it's so thick, it takes forever for the middle to actually cook. And while you're waiting for that middle to cook, the outside is going to burn. It's the exact same thing with a flat iron. If you take a section that's too big, the outside is gonna get really, really hot while you're waiting for the inside to finally get straight. It's not how you wanna do it. The perfect section size is about 1.5 to 2 inches for most people. If your hair is super dense, you can do a little less than that. If your hair is more on the sparse side, you can do a bigger section. The goal of taking a section that size is for it to all heat up evenly at the exact same time, so nothing gets overcooked and nothing gets undercooked. Another really important way to reduce damage is to blow dry your hair first. When I say blow dry, I don't just mean going all over like that. I mean blow drying it straight with a brush or a blow dry brush. Blow dryers and blow dry brushes are usually around 107 degrees, where irons are like 400. So if you do most of the work with this and less with the iron, that's good for your hair. And I know what you're thinking, why would I blow dry my hair when I'm just gonna flat iron it afterwards? And I promise you, there's like 20 amazing reasons for doing that, which I will explain in a minute. So I know you're not convinced yet, that's totally fine. I just don't wanna go out of order because I don't wanna confuse you. But for now, all you need to know is that you can use much less heat in the long term if you blow dry your hair first. And if your hair is already blow dried fairly straight, you don't have to punish your hair into submission by using an oppressive amount of heat with a flat iron. The last part of doing less damage is making sure that you take at least a 3-day break between flat irons. Your hair needs that rest. If you don't take a rest, if you do it every day or every other day, I guarantee you, you're going to get damage. It's gonna build up over time. So knowing that it's extremely important to wait at least 3 days before flat ironing your hair again, we need to make sure that when you do flat iron your hair, it lasts you for at least 3 days. And that's something that people struggle with. First step towards doing that is making sure your hair can actually stay clean for at least 3 days. Otherwise, you'll have to wash it and ruin your iron work, and you won't be able to honor the rule of going 3 days before flat ironing your hair again. So if you aren't able to go 3 days without washing, check out my guide right up here. If you're still having trouble after the guide, you're probably using a product that's too heavy, makes your hair feel greasy and gross really quickly. Moving on, like I said earlier, you always want to blow dry your hair first. The last thing you ever want to do is let your hair air dry and then come back and try and fix it with a flat iron. That's the absolute worst thing you can do. The reason for that is when hair gets wet, whether it's in the shower or in the rain, it completely loses its structure. That's why whatever style you had, as soon as the hair gets wet, it's completely gone. The reason that happens is because your hair gets held together by bonds, but those bonds break instantly as soon as the hair gets wet. So when your hair is wet, it's super pliable and it will do whatever you want it to do. But the moment it dries, the bonds reform and lock in that shape. So whatever shape your hair dries in, that's the shape your hair wants to keep. So if you let your hair air dry, the bonds are gonna form in this crazy shape, however it was air dried, and then you're gonna have to go back in and fix that with a flat iron. But when you blow dry your hair straight, it wants to stay in that shape because whatever shape the hair dries in, that's how it wants to stay. So you can let your hair air dry and then go back with the flat iron and fight it, but it's not gonna look as good because it's fighting against you. It's also not gonna last nearly as long because it's fighting against you. It's not gonna wanna stay straight because that's not the shape it was dried in. So from a time-saving point of view, this may seem like it takes longer up front, but the thing is, it will save you time because you can go so much longer before you have to flat iron again, and your hair will look so much better. I have a ton of clients who go like 7 days with this. Another thing that makes it last much longer is making sure to press on the flat iron. You don't want to go super lightly and only touch the outside hairs. You want to press firmly so that heat gets to all the hair. If you've been pressing really lightly the whole time, you're going to notice a huge difference from this. Press firmly so the heat is actually transferred for the hair. It'll make a huge difference for you. You also need to be using the right type of iron. You have two types. You have titanium and then you have tourmaline. Titanium irons are what we use at the salon. They give great results. They have amazing performance, but if you're brand new to flat ironing, you may want to start out with a tourmaline iron. Tourmaline irons are great for people who just started out and they're trying to learn how to use a flat iron because they're safe and they don't transfer heat that well. The downside is they don't get hair to stay straight for very long because they're weak. So if you're struggling with that and you want your hair to stay straight for days, I really recommend you get a titanium iron. All right, and finally, heat protection gets its own section because if you get this right, you won't do any damage to your hair and people find it really confusing. So first off, the hair care industrial complex is trying to confuse you when it comes to heat protection. They just want to sell products and the more, the better. So they're gonna slap heat protection on as many labels as possible to trick you into buying them. But just because it says heat protection on the label does not mean that it's actually a good heat protectant. More often than not, they're just throwing it out there because they know if there's two products and one of them says heat protection and one of them doesn't, you're gonna pick the one with. So knowing that, heat protectants are put into 3 categories. The first category is the one that we just talked about. They're BS heat protectants that just say heat protect on the label, but they don't actually protect your hair. The second category is heat protectants that are for a blow dryer. We're not worried about them. It's not what we're talking about right now. And the third category is heat protectants that are made specifically for the heat of an iron. This is what we're looking for today. Like I said earlier, irons are literally twice as hot as a blow dryer, so it's really important to pick the right one. The right kind will always be just a heat protectant. It won't do 40 things and then heat protections at the bottom. It's going to be made and formulated specifically to protect your hair from the heat of an iron. I actually have 2 favorites, and the one I suggest for home use is actually called Redken Hot Sets 22. Redken Hot Sets 22 is great for using it at home because it's easy to use and it does a great job of protecting your hair. But personally, in my salon, we use Kenra Thermal Styling Spray. The reason for that is it's much stronger. It has more hold, which means the style will last longer, but it comes with a trade-off because it's really hard to get this in your hair without getting it crunchy. So which one you use will come down to your experience. For almost everyone, I recommend you use the Redken Hot Sets. It's much easier. But like I said, if you're amazing, if you're a pro and you know exactly what you're doing, the Kenra Thermal Styling Spray will give you better results. So quick recap here, and feel free to take a screenshot so you can remember, but the first key to flat iron your hair the healthy way is to make sure you have a healthy hair routine. If you don't have one, it's only 2 products. Check the link in the description. It'll help you out a lot. Secondly, you want to blow dry your hair first so it's working with you and not against you. It's going to last much longer and you're not going to have to use nearly as much heat. This will actually save you time because it will stay straight for so much longer. I promise you, life is so much better when your hair is on autopilot and you don't have to mess with it every day. And remember not to take huge sections. If you take huge sections, the outside will get burned while the middle is still waiting for the heat. Don't do that because it's a ton of damage and it actually doesn't look that good when you're done. You also need to give your hair at least 3 days rest before you hit it with the flat iron again. Otherwise, the damage will build up and your hair will get worse and worse and worse. And last, make sure you use the right type of heat protection. It has to be made specifically for the heat of an iron. It shouldn't have 20 or 40 different things that it does. It should be just a heat protectant. I hope this was super helpful for you. If you have any questions, leave a comment below and I'll get back to you. Hope you have an amazing day. Thanks for watching, guys.